Hello everyone. Welcome to another seminar that I'm putting together. It's Finding Happiness in Real Estate. I know it's a very broad subject, what is happiness, but the more of the question is, what is happiness to you? So there are ways to look for happiness in our lives, and some of us are attached to material things, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, rewarding yourself with material purchasing or food or something tangible. But the only issue that you run into a lot of the times, those things are temporary happiness, or what I call something that will go away in a very short period of time. I'll give you an example. If you wanted to reward yourself or wanted to buy a car, and you bought let's say a Tesla, and this is your dream car, right? How long after you bought the car does it feel like still a dream car? At some point within like maybe 2 weeks, 1 month, 6 months, when your kids decided to make a mess out of it or throw up in the car, at that point basically, yes, it's a dream car, but it's a dream car that became more of a stress scenario for you, mainly because now you have to maintain that dream that you have, that it would be clean. But if you have kids like me, good luck. It doesn't work very well. So material happiness is something good to have in a very short period of time, but it's not something that it's something that's sustainable in the long term. And some people do try to do that and sustain it in the long term, and they end up doing something like what the Joneses next door try to, whatever the Joneses next door get, and they get the same thing, and eventually they run out of money, or they go broke, or they cannot pay their bills. They stress themselves out working, trying to make as much as they can just to maintain the particular material things that they have around them. So I've tried myself, finding happiness through material things. It doesn't work. So what is happiness to you is the question that you need to ask yourself, because the other proportion of it is relationships. You can find the best relationships in the world or make use of the relationships that you currently have and find happiness there. But finding happiness through others is not always the best thing, mainly because other people have their own standard of what you should be. And trying to fill that role of what you should be to other people may be quite difficult, because at the end of the day, there's some people that want you to be a certain way, and others want you to be a different way, and you're getting pulled left and right, trying to be somebody to everybody. In reality, you only have to be somebody to yourself. You're only accountable really to the actions that you do based on the results that you produce to yourself. And self-accountability is the most difficult thing that we have in real estate today. If you're looking at real estate and you're looking at how successful people become successful, it's not by not being accountable to their actions. That's one of the qualities that successful people have out there, is the whole idea that when you make a mistake, you hold yourself accountable to it. Why would you do such a thing? Because the idea there is, if others follow the same rule that follow you, then you won't have to go through the whole process of a blame game or try to figure out who made mistakes where, because people are not admitting their mistakes, and you have to kind of spend all your time trying to figure out how the mistakes happen and how it can be preventable in the future, because nobody's admitting it. So accountability to yourself is the number one thing. And another thing for the whole idea of relationships, if you want to have the best, happiest relationships in the world, try to be with people that accept you as who you are, as with your faults, with your mistakes, with your the whole idea that you'll never be perfect, the whole idea that you do try your best to maintain that relationship, but they're okay with that because they accept you the way you are. It's similar to what we call unconditional love. When you have unconditional love, then what you have is happiness within you, because you're not expecting any more from anything else, and expectation breeds disappointment. So without any expectation, your possibility of being happy is much greater. So The next one that we're going to talk about is experiences in your life experience. Some people actually find happiness through the experiences that they have through vacations and things that they try to do, but even vacations are temporary. Vacations or going, doing your hobbies or doing all those other things that you think that makes you happy, but all that stuff is actually limited and artificial. The true happiness, like I said, is coming from the idea that you're looking at the world from within. I've always talked to my wife about this, the whole idea of, when you're looking at the world from inside going out, you create your world. When you're looking at the world from outside and having everybody input what your world should be and bringing it within, it's what I call a headache. That's what you're getting. You're getting a headache. One of the reasons why you're getting a headache is because you don't control your life. Managing your life, controlling your life, having a direction the way you want your life to be is where you find happiness the most. So experiences in life helps, but it does not necessarily make a person happy based on the fact that how that experience occurred, where it's actually coming from the outside influences coming within or from inside you creating that experience. So being able to be intentional is one of the most important aspects of life experiences that you can ever have. Regrets come from the idea that you don't do the things that you should have done at the time that you could have done it, mainly because there's other factors that fall into place, people giving you certain influences, certain input that you think at that moment in time is the way to go, but deep inside you know what the right thing to do. So finding happiness in this business of real estate requires you to have your moral compass in check, which means basically that moral compass was created by you through your life experiences and working your way through the process of being able to apply it to the clients that you're working with. So just keep that in mind when you're working with your clients, that your moral compass has to be in line with yourself. Okay, not any other people's standard, but your standard that you created yourself. Accomplishment. Some people find happiness in accomplishment. It's great. I've gone through that same process. I accomplished so many things in my life. I had a whole bucket list of things that I wanted to do. I wanted to skydive. I wanted to jump off a bridge on a bungee jump. Done that. Go scuba diving. Wrote a song. I'm actually on iTunes if you guys want to look it up at some point. I compose songs. I write poetry. I've done so many things out there, but it didn't fulfill me, mainly because the accomplishment is only, again, a small portion of what really makes you happy. It's that small moment that you're going to find happiness, and then it goes back to where you started with. It's like going into a hill. You go up and down when you're driving. Sometimes, you don't even feel it, but you're so excited what's on the other side of the hill. Well, you come back, you get to the top of the hill, it's just another road, right? So that's basically what you're looking at when you're seeing some of these things. Rewards, like I said, some of the things we make milestones and you create rewards. That's great. You create a temporary happiness. Happy hours, something like this, with groups of people that you work with, and you accomplish something, you celebrate. That's perfectly fine. Reward yourself with things like I told you earlier. That's perfectly fine. Only thing is, keep in mind, again, it's temporary. Leaving a legacy. Some people have done everything in their lives and they want others to be able to benefit from their experiences. Something like what I'm doing right now. It's really getting me excited about sharing with you my experiences in real estate, my experiences and how it applies to real estate. And this is basically an exciting time for me that I'm able to share with you. This is, for me, I look at this as leaving a legacy of being able to inspire, being able to help others, being able to make things better for other agents out there, help other agents produce, coach people, mentor people. Those kind of things I really enjoy. But is it actually a permanent happiness? Absolutely not. If you're looking at all of these things that I just mentioned, and you're looking at a person like a Robin Williams, who actually happened to unfortunately passed away several years ago, and he committed suicide. He had everything. He had wealth, he had family, he had success on every single level you can imagine, right? But what's missing? Is what's missing all of the above? Well, he accomplished all of the above, everything that we've actually done, material happiness, relationship happiness, experience life, accomplishment, rewards, leaving a legacy, all these things he experienced, right? But what's missing? What's missing is happiness is truly not in all of these above. These are just artificial facades that you see, that you think that you're really happy. Where it comes from is the state of being. The whole understanding that you are right here, right now, and whatever happened in the past happened already. What's happening in the future you cannot predict. When you start looking at what your reality looks like in the present, and you're looking at it from what kind of transactions are you doing? What kind of prospecting are you doing? What are you doing now to improve your life, right? But being on the present is what it's all about. And happiness comes from the thought process of being in the present. So what I just mentioned, none of the above is an option here. Well, yes, it's actually the best option, to be honest with you. Because you should be happy whether you have material things or not. You should be happy whether your relationship or not, or whatever relationship you have. Happiness comes from within, and I'm pretty sure you've heard this cliche, but more importantly, happiness comes from two factors. One is being able to understand who you are and accepting the way you are, and two is being able to accept others the way they are, as well as everything around you the way it is, and appreciating the things that you have around you. So this is basically where everything flows from, your definition of happiness. And like I said, all of us will have our own way. You could be very happy because you're top producer, but then in reality, I've been there. I've actually gotten like so many transactions in 2005. I mean, 92 transactions, crazy numbers. I mean, crazy experience. Never had that kind of income in my whole life, but I wasn't happy. So we'll go through the process here and understanding a little bit more to be able to appreciate what you have and appreciate what you're able to do today. So there's this thing called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm pretty sure some of you guys have studied this in high school or college or in places that you'll never. This is a very basic understanding of human needs. And if you attain all this, the whole idea there is you'll be happy. Well, if you're really looking at it from what are the needs look like, you're looking at the basic needs, which is food, water, rest, warmth, which is basically, place to stay kind of thing, food, shelter, clothing, right? The basic needs. And then it comes also a certain security that the fact that you're safe. So this is like the basic needs to meet in order for you to actually find a certain happiness. But it's very basic, and hence the reason why some people, if they're focusing on the basic needs and they have them and they can find themselves accepting where they are or accepting the fact that they have these things and appreciating these things, right? The appreciation that makes a big difference. Then just on the basic needs, you'll find yourself already happy. Then you have the psychological needs, the belongingness and love from others, the belongingness and love for yourself, self-esteem, prestige, feeling of accomplishment. All these other things are more in the psychological sense of it. Well, it's necessary for all of us, and I'm sure all of us have experienced a certain amount of psychological needs met through our relationships with our family, through our relationships with our spouses, and through the people that we interact with on a daily basis, the people that, especially, the people that you work with in the real estate business. So what you're going to find is you're going to have these psychological needs met, but it's not where the whole happiness lies, right? It's there, and you have the self-fulfillment, achieving one's full potential, like being able to actually create the things that you want to create for yourself, activities that you're in control of, right? But it's the fulfillment part is what's missing in a lot of us. It's the whole idea that not only that we accept things that we have. So if you're not producing right now, or you're producing less than you were producing the year before, right? If you can maintain your positive mindset and you can maintain a certain amount of happiness within you, none of this will affect you. You could run into a situation where it's so bad, but you manage to still find happiness within everything else that's happening. So one of the things that I have on my mission statement is when I wake up every morning, that I would actually be positive no matter what trials, issues, problems that I run into. And that's necessary in our business, especially because there's going to be times when your clients test you, that they're not loyal to you. They treat you like a commodity, like a piece of furniture. And you're sitting there like, okay, how do I deal with this person? Well, exactly what I'm saying. If you know how to find happiness in our business, is to understand yourself and understand the fact that you choose to make other people affect you in terms of how you're going to be happy in your life. You choose. That's a choice. It's not something that, oh, it's because my client is this, that's why I'm so unhappy today. Well, guess what? That's your choice to be unhappy. Don't blame the client. The client will do whatever they're going to do. Okay? The client will leave you. The client will be disloyal to you. The client, can make you happy as well. But the point I'm trying to make to you is it's irrelevant what others do. It's how you react to those people and understanding that those people are going to be that way. And but it's okay. It's accepting that, okay, it's okay my client's going to be disloyal. Guess what? I'm not going to spend as much time as I would normally with them if they're not going to be loyal to me. Or if they started working with another agent, that's fine. I'll still send them invitation to my events or whatever. Guess why? Because one day that same person will realize what they've done. And I've had that situation where a client actually worked with somebody else. And later on down the line, they called me up. The first thing that came out of their mouth, say, "Hey, I'm sorry that I did that. Let me give you a listing that I'm trying to sell the property, or I'm trying to rent out. Actually, I was trying to rent out the property." So I've had that situation happen to me before. So I know that by being open and accepting the way people are, but it's always your choice to let them affect you, or you can ignore them. Ignore the way they treat you. And in the end, basically, everything works out. So just keep that in mind when you're working with your clients. Now, something to think about. Happiness is attained through your self-awareness, your awareness of these things I just mentioned, awareness of the fact that there's going to be circumstances or people that will kind of bring you down. It's okay. But the question is, will you allow them to, right? But the best way to minimize some of these issues that you're running into, whether it's your personal life or your business life or any part of your life, your physical health or your mindset kind of thing, your psychological mindset, it's about balance. So is it about having balance in your life? That's a question that you're going to ask yourself. Are you balancing or maintaining a balance in your life? Because this real estate can suck you in and suck you dry, okay? And I can tell you right now, I've gone through that process. I've gotten obsessed with the business. It's wonderful. The income was great. There's nothing wrong with that. The only thing I can tell you, just like everything else I just mentioned to you earlier, it can be temporary and it can affect you in the long run. So just keep that in mind, something to think about. Is it about balance in your life? Is it the goals or achievement at work? That's just part of the balance that you need to maintain, right? So you got to keep in mind, as you are going through your life, you're going to have goals. But your goals shouldn't only be about work. It should be about other things as well. Goals in terms of how strong your relationship with your family, how close you are, how well bonded you are with your children, if you have children, or whoever you're connected to. the question of how healthy are you? Are you maintaining your weight? Are you trying to make sure that no matter what happens that you get sick less? And there's studies been done on that where the people that are working so much, are workaholics, tend to have more issues in their health than people that are not. So, but keep in mind, if you're a workaholic, it's okay, but you have to be able to kind of maintain the other parts of your life as well. And that's where people miss out. And like I said, this is the kind of question you have to ask yourself, because happiness, like I said, is from within, but you don't really need anything else but your way of thinking. The fact that nothing externally will be able to affect you. This is also brought up in a book actually by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. This is a very good book to read if you ever get depressed or down out there while you're doing your business. Why? Because that book will give you a realization of what it looks like, how bad it can get for any human being. And it's encapsulated in that book, and it shares with you how you can find happiness through meaning in your life. They call logotherapy. He's one of the creators of that, Viktor Frankl. He's a psychiatrist. He's renowned for the logotherapy, the whole idea of your life having meaning. That's the fulfillment part of your life. So not only that your life will have other things as like achievement at your work or balance in your life, all these other things, but the whole idea that you have meaning as you go through life. And having that meaning is the seed to keep away all these things that can get you depressed, anything that can get you sad, anything that others can do to you while whether you're working or you're doing something else. The point I'm trying to make is how it affects our business is you being together. Because at the end of the day, you sell you. In the real estate business, houses is not what we sell. We sell us to be in between the transactions on each and every house that actually goes out there. Is it the time you spend with others? That's one thing I can tell you. If there's any regret anybody have in life, and that affects their happiness, is the fact that they are looking in the past and they say, oh, I wish I'd spent more time doing XYZ, whatever that is, right? So just keep in mind when you're working, you got to maintain that balance. It's something I cannot stress any more than what I'm doing right now. Step-by-step approach to happiness. This is good. At least I'm giving you guys a step-by-step. It's very important to actually kind of nice. It's kind of nice when you're listening to someone, okay, this is all the problems or this is all the situations, how you become a happy person, but nobody shows you the step-by-step. So let me show you the step-by-step. Number 1, identify incidents or memories that produce negative feelings in your mind. Why would you do that? Because you need to get that out of your back end of your brain. It affects you as a person. It affects the way you make decisions. It affects the way you talk to people. It affects the way you can trust people. Because a lot of the times when you have incidents that happen in the past, you project that in the future. So if someone, let's say one person stole something from me, hypothetically, and I meet the next person in this very similar circumstance, right? As long as I'm not identified why or what or how this person stole something from me, right? And on top of that, accept the fact that there are going to be people like that, then it's hard for me to move forward to the next person who I would be thinking that would be stealing from me as well. Well, guess what? If you live your life not trusting anyone, nobody will trust you. And I don't think you'll be able to sell a single house out there as long as you have that issue, a chip on that shoulder that you have. So identifying incidents or memories that produce negative feelings in your mind creates a process for you to heal. And I think that's one of the things that we try to forget the negative things. Oh, let's forget about that. Well, no, bring it up at some point and then get it out of the way. And that's the step 2. Accept those feelings as something that is part of you, right? That's already happened. It's in the past. Like I told you earlier, happiness is in the present, not in the future or trying to predict what the future looks like. There was an interesting book I was reading. Can't remember what it was now, but he was a POW prisoner, and he was one of the few people that survived his prisoner camp because everybody got tortured. Some of the people in that POW camp were looking at the past of what's going on in the past, like all these horrific things, and they couldn't move forward anymore because they couldn't take what humiliation they went through, what pain that and suffering they went through, and they just wanted to kill themselves. So some of them just die. I mean, literally just die out of stress, right? So those are what we call the pessimistic people. And then you had the optimistic people. Every holiday that's coming out, they were saying, oh my goodness, I will be able to get out. Christmas, we're going to be pulled out of this place. Christmas comes along. New Year's comes along. Nothing happened. Following year comes around. Oh, July 4th. I heard July 4th is actually Independence Day, and our country is working with this country, and we're going to be able to actually get out of this POW camp, right? Projecting the future, predicting the future, projecting the future. Well, 4th of July came around, it passed, nothing happened, and eventually those people were so unhappy that they wanted to die. So now you got the optimistic people. And the only few people that survived were the ones that were looking at it and saying, okay, I get up this morning today. I know I'm going to get tortured. I know I'm going to get insulted. But it's okay because this is my circumstance right now. Now, at some point, it may change, it may not. But it doesn't matter. I have to deal with it, what I have right now. Then that same people were also thinking, they can take away everything around me, but if I have what I have inside, and I can imagine what my life looks like, not what my life looked like in the past or what my life looks like in the future, but what it looks like right now. Imagine that if I survive this, then I'm one of the lucky people. That's it. That's all they had. They were looking at what they are living for. They're living for the idea that they're going to see their wife one day. They don't know when, and if they ever will, but they were having some kind of a meaning inside. And with that meaning inside, help that person go through the torture that they were going through. And eventually when he was let out. And then that person wrote a book. And that book I happened to read, and I realized, there's so many things that happen in my life. There's so many things that happen in my real estate career that whatever happened in the past, I have to be able to cut off so that I can continue doing the things that I do, that I'm passionate about in the real estate business, and be as excited as I was the day I started in the real estate. So you're going to have out there some people that this message will come to, probably have been top producers at some point, really kicked butt out there, and you really did so well, and then all of a sudden the business goes down, all your staff went out, and you're by yourself selling houses, and you're like thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, this another day I have to do work. Well, for those people out there like this, imagine you never actually sold a single house yet, and you're starting out new, and you're looking forward to the next sale that you're going to make. They have this cliche that, the best salesperson is as good as the last sale, right? Well, it applies in this business, very much so. You're as good as the last mindset that you had, that you're excited about selling. That's what that's all about. It's not the fact that you've done whatever you had done in the past. It doesn't mean that you can replicate that in the future. But what it does mean that if you forget whatever happened in the past and you get up in the morning and feel excited again about your business, then you're going to get somewhere. One of the things that I've done in my career The best years that I've actually had was having a coach, because the coach was always able to look at the world differently than I would. And of course, if you're going to hire a coach, hire a positive coach, somebody who's excited about the business. Because some people out there are like, oh, I've been doing this for 28 years, 30 years. But they're like, oh man, I'm telling you, I'm sick and tired. That's why I'm coaching, because I can't deal with people selling houses anymore. Well, what makes you think that they can actually coach you very well as well? So that's another thing you got to think about. So the third, step number 3, recognize that others have gone through similar circumstances. So you're not the only one out there. You're not the only new agent out there, okay? It took me 4 years to build up my career in the real estate business. 4 years. For 4 years, I was selling 1 house per year. I didn't think I even sold, first 2 years, I don't think even I sold 2 houses, actually. It's on my 3rd year, I sold 3. And then 4th year, I sold 1 or something like this. So I was getting ready to quit the business, okay? So for those of you that are new in this business, don't get discouraged. I mean, if I could make it through 4 years, I'm sure you haven't been in the business 4 years yet and sold nothing. I'm one of the most stubborn people you get to meet out there, and yet I'm still here 26 years later. How does that happen? Well, somebody has to look and help you look at the business in a different angle. And that angle will create possibilities in terms of opening your mind with all the things that you could be doing, all the activities that you could be doing. See, in the reality of it, the reason why you're not producing anything right now, if you're not producing anything right now, is the amount of activities that you're doing. And the attitude, actually, it's the attitude of not being happy where you are. It's okay. You can always convert that unhappiness in terms of activities. Then you can change your world and be happier on those temporary things that we talked about earlier. But the reality of it is you need to be able to look at a different approach to where you are. So whatever you're doing, if it's not working, like one of the people I'm mentoring, I said, stop doing it, because it looks like you're very unhappy with it. And I told her, do something else different, and let me show you how to do something else different. And that's really the key, being able to, understand that other people are going through the same thing as you are. Some of you have been experienced and been selling a lot of houses, all of a sudden nothing, no houses are being sold, or whatever the excuse is, COVID, da-da-da-da-da. I mean, we have all these excuses in the world why we're not selling, but the reality of it, we're not selling because we're not doing the activities. Step number 4, replace those feelings with a happy memory that you can vividly remember. This is one of the things my therapist actually told me. You always, when you are unhappy in a particular circumstance, a particular situation, or even if you're angry, emotions that you don't want, okay, it's replaceable. I never knew that. You can all of a sudden, so he gave me a scenario where I sat down and he told me, describe 3 words and the best things that ever happened in your life when you were in a particular moment, just a particular moment where you were. I was like, yeah, I was swimming in a pool, and if I was in high school, I had no problems, no bills, no issues to worry about. I had all the money in the world because I was working, and most of the people I was with, don't have money. They have to get money from their parents, and I was already working my own gig. I got like a couple gigs going on, so I was doing very well financially. And I was at the pool, in the community pool, and just laying down and relaxing, and I was relaxed. That's one of the things, refreshed and peaceful. That's the moment I can describe that particular moment. I was staring at the sky was blue, and I was thinking, wow, what a world, beautiful world. This is the most beautiful moment I actually had. And when I described that, in the midst of all these issues and chaos and problems I was having, right, he got a smile out of me. And that's the thing, right? We don't realize a person can give you a different perspective and change the way you think. So when you're stressed out, just try to find your husa moment, husa, husa, husa. I don't even know how to say it. But find your husa moment, you know? So then you would feel better about yourself at that moment and change the negative feelings or negative thoughts into happy feelings. Recognize that you cannot change the past nor you can predict the future. I talked about that a little bit earlier. We just can't. We just have to live in the present. Where you are right this moment, you can dictate how it looks like today. You can plan how it could be tomorrow, but it doesn't always work, your plan. But it's okay. At least you kind of guide yourself to the direction where you want your life to be. So an intentional life is much better than someone else's intentions for you. So this is the reason why we probably all have this real estate licenses, because when we were working at some point, we were thinking, well, you know what? I can work for myself. Great idea. Let me work for myself. Let me get my license and start selling house. Or when you've bought your first house or your second house, you saw this agent next to you actually collecting his commission check and like, wow, that's a lot of money. I could be doing that instead of doing what kind of work that I do. And he's independent. Well, guess what? All that comes with a price, right? And the whole idea of balancing your life and creating happiness within everything that's happening around you is the most important thing. All of us want to strive to be happy. We have an innate natural tendency that we're looking for happiness in our lives. And I'm telling you, the secret to that is really not a secret, but all of us already know, but we don't apply it. And that's where the problem is. So again, as I was explaining to you earlier, you got to look at the world from inside, create the world from inside, and you project it out, not the other way around. Okay? So as you having others outside of you actually affect you inside, so the world could be chaos, but within that chaos, you could be that one person sitting there in the middle of the chaos and saying, wow, this is exciting. I love it. So in the middle of COVID, okay, you could be the person that's actually selling a lot of houses, or you could be the 90% of the people that are saying, oh, it's because of COVID, my business is down. It's just an excuse. That's where the accountability comes in, right? So live in the present. That's very important to know. Live in the present. So how does this affect you in real estate? Simple. It affects you in real estate because your behavior, your actions, your decisions are based on an innate natural sense of being happy. And if anything that we're trying to accomplish in our lives, whether it's accomplishment, buying your Tesla or buying your huge mansion, whatever your dream is, all that goes into encompassing one scenario, one thing, right? All is to find happiness. So keep working out hard out there, right? How to find happiness? Well, like I said to you, accepting who you are, accepting how others behave, holding yourself accountable, doing your best. Look, don't expect results to occur and not do your best. I mean, that's called luck, okay? When you do your best, you have a better probability of finding the results you're looking for than when you're not doing your best. And I'm sure you've run into situations where you don't feel like doing something and you don't do your best. Well, you have an armor. Imagine if you have an armor and you're going into battle. You prepare. You put your armor on, you bring your whatever weapons you're going to be using. If you're going to get into a battle, right? Like let's say a physical battle. I mean, you can imagine that's the kind of thing. You're going to have your shield, you have your helmet, all those things, right? That's preparation. That's part of doing your best. Now, in the modern world, when we go to battle, for ladies, a lot of time we put on our makeup, make our hair really nicely done, do a little blow drying, get some perm, whatever you're trying to do out there. And for men, basically, we dress up in suits or we dress up in our best clothes attire that we're trying to do. We tend to take showers, I'm sure. You know, we brush our teeth at least twice a day, I would hope, because I had a group of people one day who told me like, oh, that's optional. I'm like, okay. Yeah, it's optional for now until you find the result like 5-7 years from now when your teeth are rotten, right? So everything actually comes into doing your best. Even, you know, taking care of your health. It's very important that you take care of your health. You know, your maintenance of your teeth. I mean, sometimes you don't feel like brushing your teeth when you come home and you're exhausted, right? But I still do, because I know the consequences of going to the dentist, what it feels like when you didn't take care of your teeth. Yeah, they'll be yanking tooth out of your mouth, drilling holes in there, you know, putting a lot of like, you know, Novocaine, and it's painful with the needles and stuff. I mean, I just imagine that even when I'm exhausted, and then I actually kind of end up brushing my teeth just because of that idea of going to a dentist. It feels like when you don't take care of yourself, you know, that kind of stuff. So doing your best on everything, not just with your work, not with just the way you appear, not just when you actually meet a client, but also your personal hygiene. It's much nicer to work with people with nice hygiene, you know. I mean, you can. I'm pretty sure that some of you have sat down with a client with a BO or something, you know, and you're like, oh my gosh, how long, when is this meeting over? I mean, you know, or bad breath. And you're like saying like, okay, 6 feet apart, COVID, you know. You say 6 feet apart. And let's keep wearing our masks because it stinks in here otherwise. But luckily, actually, we got COVID for you then at that point, right? So live in the present. That's another thing that you have to keep in mind, like I told you. Get rid of the limiting beliefs. Here's the thing, all of us have limiting beliefs. And as soon as you open up that limiting beliefs, then there's another limit to that opened up limiting beliefs. So you think everything is open until you get to your destination, right? So I'll give you an example. At 13, 14 years old, I started working. I started seeing the value of working and making money. I was like making like $6 an hour or something like that. Back then it was pretty good already. And I ended up making $8 an hour. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can only imagine if I can work so hard, I can make $100,000. Right? That was my belief. But then once I started learning the business and my first year came around, I made $75,000. I'm like, wait a minute. $75,000 is not going to cut it. I think I'm going after $250 now, right? But the fact is, my mindset was limited. But I always wanted to make at 36 years old, I wanted to have $1 million. I mean, like net worth. And I did make it there. But it wasn't from the limiting beliefs. I got rid of the limiting beliefs. I started figuring out that it's just a step-by-step process if you want to get to a particular destination. So if you want to make $100,000, then yeah, that's perfectly fine. But once you start getting close to your 100 grand, all of a sudden that limit starts to go up, especially if you're not working for somebody that has a ceiling, right? That's so beautiful about our business. Our business is like, you know, a glass ceiling. You can literally break through it and start making the kind of money you want to make, and literally retire in 3 years if you want it, or sooner. I've seen people do so well in this business that right now, today, they're not even working anymore. And they don't need to, because working is a factor of the idea whether you work because you love what you do, all right, or you work because the bill's chasing you. I'd rather be the other one, you know, the other side, where the bill's not chasing me and I'm just working because I enjoy it. Or you could do both, but the reality of it is it's much better not having any bills to be chased with. And having fun along the way. That's another thing. Finding happiness is having fun along the way. Certain things that somebody can look at and say that it's not fun, I can look at it and say, well, this is actually fun. But then the person tells me, how can you see it? It's fun. It's, you know, we're sweeping the floor. And I say, well, it's fun because look, when you finish sweeping the floor looks clean. I accomplished something. You see that? So little things can make you happy, and even something that's mundane or boring or something that you don't enjoy, you can make it enjoyable. Just got to think about it and correlate it to something that's fun. Why be happy? Well, your relationship depends on it. I don't know how many people are in miserable relationships because they're unhappy. Not because of the relationship, it's because they're unhappy within themselves. They haven't figured out what's wrong with them. Why are they feeling the way they're feeling? Like I told you, the step-by-step is really very important for you to kind of follow, because that will find an opening for you to feel so much better, because some of your unhappiness roots back from your genes, inherited, and others actually rooting back from your childhood, which is parented. So some of your unhappiness comes from your own parents kind of creating this world for you in terms of what you can and cannot do. And based on that limiting beliefs, and based on those limitations that was put on you, or based on the hell that you went through when you did something, or based on the abuse that you gone through when you were a child, all that stuff is still with you. Why? Because you have not identified it. So, but how does this relate to our business? Well, like I told you before, this is your package. This is who I sell in real estate. Me. That's what I sell in real estate. I sell me. When I say I sell me, I sell the idea that I'm a person that's caring, that's kind, that's happy. So that's how it affects our business. Your business will naturally grow through your influence. Influential people tend to be positive, and I don't know how many people you know that's very negative and still succeed, very few of them. Because the world of success is not an island. The world of success is the whole world. When I say that is you not by yourself succeeding. Most of the most successful people that discover things, that accomplish things, have others around them supporting them. Now, why would people want to follow you? Why would people want to buy from you? Why would people want to sell from you if you're depressed? I'll give you an example. I meet a client, and the client asks me, hey, what do you think about this? I was, well, I don't know, that house, it reminds me of terrible things in my childhood. That house feels like when you enter the hallway, it feels so dark and gloomy. When I used to be chased with a broomstick by my mother. That's what it reminds me of. Try selling that. See if that works for you. So try selling that way, right? So the idea of your history, your past, or whatever it is, affects where you are today. That's why you tend to have people that are more successful than others on the get-go, but others actually become more successful later in life, mainly because they've figured out what happened in the past that's holding them back. Well, that's what you need to find for yourself. Because at the end of the day, nobody can sell the house for you. It's you. And also, nobody can set up a group of people that will work for you if you're not somebody that people can respect, or somebody that people would want to be around. I don't want to be around gloomy people. Do you? This is a question you have to ask yourself. Happiness is contagious. See, the more happier you are, the more you attract people. I don't know how many times you've been to a party or an event. Don't you tend to gravitate to those people who are doing all these activities that's fun? Well, that's, like I told you, it's natural for us to attach to something fun or to something that makes us feel good. And that's what makes it contagious. There's a study actually at Harvard University that a certain amount of feet from a person, if you smile at them, 80% of the time the person will smile back at you. As a matter of fact, the rule in the Ritz-Carlton apparently, and that's what made that organization so famous, is if every employee is trained to greet a guest when they're less than 6 feet apart from them. So that's part of the culture that was created within the organization. And it worked because everybody feels like, welcome. Smiling at somebody, being happy, all those things kind of attracts other people to do the same. There's a tendency, even with babies or children. Actually, I have a 1-year-old child right now. I mean, if I smile at him enough, he will smile back. I mean, I didn't say anything. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. He's just looking at my gesture, right? So if I'm positive, my son is happy. If I'm happy walking around, I mean, I can see him. I mean, half the time when I see him, if he ever cries or hurt himself, I mean, I just kind of get around him, or he's got a attachment to the mother. So, sometimes when the mom have to actually like leave the room for something, that the child cries, and I'm able to actually calm him down through my attitude. But if I started getting angry or getting upset or that kind of thing, then I just translate that to the person. So, sadness is also contagious. So, feelings are contagious in general, if you think about it. If you ever seen a situation where somebody cries and they don't even know why they're crying, but if you see their facial expression is so painful and and you almost start crying as well, it's because, the feelings transfer. So happiness is contagious in that sense. People want to rely on people who are positive. So that's a given. It sucks to be unhappy, right? Your health is affected by unhappiness. And like I said, there's been studies done on this, that your health is affected based on how unhappy you are in your life. You relieve stress on yourself and others. And it's so true. When you hang out with people that are positive and they're happy, I tell you, it tends to kind of get inside you, and whatever problems that you have, it's like, oh my gosh, I want to come back to this group again. You tend to want to attract back to it. Well, we even have a checklist here, guys. Checklist to happiness in real estate. Not just in real estate, but overall, okay? Number 1, exercise. Do you exercise? By the way, I put it all in question because you need to ask yourself this. Do you exercise? Do you sleep well? Do you eat healthy? Did I accomplish my to-do list? Did I follow my not-to-do list? Did I spend time on prospecting? Did I build or improve my relationships with others? Did I set up appointments with others? Did I work on my business instead of in it? Did I spend quality time with my family? Am I taking breaks or vacations in between? Am I living a balanced life? Do I create time for myself and my hobbies? Do I help others on a regular basis? Do I visit my doctor for checkups? Do I plan my life, or am I in someone else's plan? If you ask yourself that last question, it's very good to know. Because if you're in someone else's plan, I guarantee you're not happy. So, here we go. So, the very top one, this is my quote: happiness comes from within, even when having nothing. Because happiness is about finding meaning and fulfillment in life, as well as appreciating what you already have. It's a given. Whatever you are in your life, accept it, be in it, have fun. And there's a philosopher of an Emperor Marcus Aurelius. I think you guys know this guy. I heard it from Gladiator, that movie. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. So these are the quotes that I would actually remember out of this seminar. At the end of the day, it's up to you to decide whether you want to be happy or not. Okay? Well, that's it for my seminar, and enjoy your day. Be happy.